Who's there?
I need a reading. Not just the usual kind, just the one card today, I'm afraid.
Someone I know?
Not yet.
Past, present, or future?
Present. I need to know how the family are getting on.
The family seem to have gotten themselves into this predicament. The Hanged Man. Interesting. This shows the family are suspended in a similar way. They are in a situation where they can't fight their way out, just as the Hanged Man dangles with no hope of relief. So do they.
Reverend Anastasia. The flickering candle licks at Chambers' head. At this stage, the smell of burning skin, hair. You can even see the burning disfiguring his face. Partly unrecognizable if you hadn't known him for so long. What do you do?
It's a very disturbing sight, but I am remembering that critical sanity roll. I believe Anastasia passed san roll as well, so I think it is more along the lines of the practicalities of the situation. So immediately we'll snuff the candle out to relieve the poor man's discomfort, and I'll probably ask Anastasia to maybe look for the rope to let him down whilst I grimly hold the corpse and maneuver it to the floor with Anastasia's help, because she's such a practical girl.
Can I ask you both then, Anastasia, as you're about to do something, could you both give me a listen roll, please?
Anastasia, actually, if I recall correctly, upon seeing that sight, immediately turned away.
Yes.
To avoid experiencing it. I think she's quite overwhelmed, and she has appropriately failed her listen roll with a 74 over 40.
Okay.
So I think she can probably hear like ringing in her ears, kind of from the shocked state she's in.
Okay. And the Reverend, may I ask about your role?
The Reverend is he rolled 81 versus 20, so he is not listening as well as the young lady. So he's wrapped up in trying to get poor Chambers down.
Okay, just pause 1 second. We're just going to jump outside to the carriage. And I'm not going to do anything other than ask the 3 inhabitants of the carriage. This is Thomas Prideaux, Charlotte Lambert, and the wonderful Mr. Christopher Burrows. You're in the carriage. May I just ask quickly what it is that you're doing in there whilst you wait quite pleasantly for the Reverend and Anastasia to get a book?
I've taken back my hip flask, which I have passed around fairly liberally, I believe, but probably staring out into the street, a bit of people watching. Lots of people in the area I'll have known from childhood, spotting that old lady that always hobbles around, wonder what she's got in her basket, just killing the time while they go and look at their silly book.
Okay.
It's not a silly book, but...
Charlotte, may I ask what you're doing?
Charlotte is probably just trying to make conversation with the young Mr. Burrows. Just polite small talk.
Mr. Burrows, are you responding? Are you? How are you engaging in this rather awkward wait in the carriage?
He's responding, I think, with some relief and nervous enthusiasm, because if I recall rightly, the Reverend started trying to ask him slightly uncomfortable questions about his marriage prospects and plans. So he's very happy to make small talk with Charlotte instead.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you two are very welcome to have a conversation, but I'm going to ask you, as in Mr. Christopher Burrows and Charlotte Lambert, to give me a spot hidden roll at disadvantage, and I'm going to ask Thomas Prideaux, sipping his hip flask here, who is people watching, to give me a spot hidden with a bonus die, please. So penalty die for Charlotte and Mr. Burrows.
Okay.
That is an 11 with a 10 on both dice.
And that was a failure either way. for me.
Charlotte has failed. She's too busy gazing into the eyes of the rather,
Single.
should we say, it's single. Well, we don't know. We don't know. It's part of his backstory that we haven't delved into yet. But the rather charming Mr. Burrows. And Mr. Burrows.
I've got a success, 32 under 40.
Did you roll your penalty die?
I did not. Haha.
Oh, well.
I'm one off an extreme success as I got 11 under 50. Is it worth my while spending a luck to get that extreme? Or
Well, I'm going to say yes, because any opportunity to steal some luck.
yeah, I've not spent any luck yet.
Then now's
This
the time.
session.
Thomas, now's the time.
I will spend 1 luck to make that an extreme and take me down to 39 luck.
What happens is Charlotte's talking to Mr. Burrows. Mr. Burrows is very pleasantly talking back, enjoying not perhaps having to talk about his potential marriage prospects, but entertained in anything specifically. Charlotte, is there anything that you are specifically talking about? Is it about Mr. Burrows, or is it about your own interests?
Well, the twist is he is talking about his own marriage prospects. He just doesn't know it.
Okay.
He keeps trying to veer the conversation towards the Prideaux family more generally. So do you just keep bringing it back on track to like what kind of flowers you like?
Okay, excellent. Thomas, sitting in the carriage, looking out the window, sipping from your hip flask, you, with an extreme success, you see a couple of children, a boy and a girl, actually, and they're walking down the street, down the pavement, and as they kind of get to the actual bookstore, the book depository that's very run down. You've seen the kind of the marred green wood with the gold gilt writing that's been chipped and faded, etc. And you see these two children. They walk to the front of it, and you can see that they then just look up and down the street. One of them even looks at you. The young boy just looks at you, and then sees that you are of the gentry, and thinks that you have no interest in him. He is of no importance to you. And then he nudges his sister, and his sister just slides in through the bookshop door, and then he just slips in and follows into the shadows. You're pretty sure that's where your uncle went and where your sister went. Just a couple of kids. Let's go back to Anastasia and the good Reverend. Reverend, you described that you were holding the body?
That's right, lowering it to the floor, so...
You're holding the body, waiting for Anastasia to find the rope so that you can lower it to the floor.
Exactly, yes.
Excellent. And you both failed your listen rolls quite horribly, which is brilliant storytelling from the dice. I think, Anastasia, you need to give us a spot hidden so that you can look around to see if there is a rope or a device or something that allows you to lower Chambers' poor remains to the floor.
I think Anastasia would probably move really slowly and take quite a lot of time to start searching for the rope, because she has really been shaken by this.
And it's quite dark.
It's quite dark. She has this ringing in her ears as if something something terrible has happened. We're very practical about this, but this is terrifying. So I don't think she's gonna snap back and start being practical as fast as her uncle has been able to with his critical success. So she's going to take some time kind of blocking her ears, closing her eyes, trying to find her way back to reality, and then slowly try to look around for the rope after a little bit when she's calmed herself, but she's still quite shaky. So I'm happy to have a penalty die and not spot it, and if you like, it's up to you.
I think if someone's going to offer me a penalty die, I'm going to take it. Right. This is the best game ever. Someone's offering me luck, someone's offering me penalty die. Excellent.
Oh no. I rolled a 96 over 45. My penalty die was a 25, but not really useful.
So a number of things happen with the failed listen rolls, with company entering the bookshop that neither of you are aware of because you don't hear them coming in. The Reverend is holding the body of Chambers, and when Anastasia goes to find some way to lower the body, you don't not only not find the body, but with a 96, you do not see these two children of about probably 9 years old and 7 years old, the boy being 9 and the girl being 7, sneaking in around the bookshelves and kind of, they see you and they hear you and they move in to see what's going on.
Not to make my life any worse, but 96 over 45 is a fumble.
Oh, you just wait. You just wait.
Okay.
Here comes the fumble.
Just letting
And
you know.
as this boy and this girl come in, they see you, Anastasia. You have no idea. And then they turn, and then they see the Reverend holding a body upside down, shaking it. The girl screams. It makes you jump. So much so that you fall back and you bang into one of the bookcases, which in turn wobbles on its side and then falls towards you and the children, them screaming more, thinking that you're attacking them. The boy grabs his sister and he's able to pull her out of the way. The bookcase does begin to kind of fall towards you. I'm going to ask you for a dodge roll. There's a negative impact anyway, but I just wanted to see that roll.
That is another fail with 58 over 37.
Okay, Reverend, you see you're holding this body and the candle's been blown out, so there's not really much light in here. It was really the only main source of light that was giving a sense of silhouette and location. You think you see two small figures. You think you see one of them scream. You think you see Anastasia almost kind of jump at them and pull a bookcase with her. Anastasia, the bookcase falls on you. I'm going to need you to roll... it's going to be 1d4 minus 1 is what it's going to be.
That's a 3.
Whoa! Okay, it traps you quite heavily underneath this bookcase and pins you to the ground. The children again scream. You hear the boy going, "Get out of here! Get out of here! Quick! Go and call the runners! Get the runners here, quick! He's killed someone! He's killed someone!" And he's clearly pointing at you, Reverend, as he's saying that. The little girl...
very good eyesight.
The little girl runs out. You may have recognized... as you were coming into this dilapidated ruin, you may not have, depending on rolls, but this is their home. Knowing this location, knowing this run-down, broken bookshop is what they do. This is where they live. They run out. The girl screaming. She's gone. Thomas, in the carriage, you see a little girl burst out of the door in tears, panicking, breathing, running down the street. The little boy still there, Reverend. Anastasia, the bookcase is lying on top of you. Reverend, what do you do?
The Reverend is going to be a little puzzled and take a moment to try and see what is going on and call out for Anastasia.
You can only hear whimpers. Anastasia is having a rough time.
Do you use her name when you call out?
Yeah, he's going to say, Anastasia, are you all right? Oh dear. He's going to let go of the body and calmly go over to the sound of the voice.
The boy, you see like the silhouette of the...
Oh, the kids haven't run off yet?
The girl has. The girl has run off.
Oh,
but
okay.
The boy, kind of, you kind of see him take a couple of steps back. And he's just like, "Oh, you stay there, mister."
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Who are you, lad?
Never mind who I am. You just stay there.
Wake up.
The runners are on their way.
Jolly good. There has been a murder here.
Yeah, and
Do you know anything about it?
I saw you holding the body.
That is correct. This is my manservant. Somebody has murdered him. Do you know anything about it, young man?
Oh, I feel like there's a role here, Reverend. What would you like to suggest? Is this intimidation? Is this just a firm reassurance?
I think this is exceptional reputation with a bonus die because I am a man of the cloth and this is a street urchin.
Reputation. He has seen you carrying a body. I don't think there's a bonus die. You are holding a body. You are holding a dead body in your hands. And they came in and accused you.
Usually happens at funerals.
I don't know what sort of funerals you've been to.
Accused you. As keeper, I'm saying this doesn't appear to be a funeral. And if you wanted to pull that off, it's a different role.
That's fine.
You can make a reputation roll in the context of the situation.
Let us see what we can do.
Yeah. I think it would have to be a very high success. Oh, there we go.
Such as
Go
an
on.
extreme success. 10
Okay.
versus 65.
Okay, so in this moment, you get him to stay there. You get him to calm down. Even with an extreme success, I'm not going to tell you that he's convinced you didn't murder someone, but because of your status and because of the society at the time, he's doing what he's told.
Jolly
He's
good. Jolly
going
good.
to stand there. Sorry, sir.
No problem at all. This is a very sad situation. I think you'll agree, young sir, isn't it?
He's dead. You had him in your arms. He's dead.
That's right. This gentleman is hanging from the ceiling, and that's not quite the fitting place for him, is it?
No, sir.
No, so I'm trying to lower him down, but it seemed my young associate has fallen underneath the bookcase. Do you know what that is about?
She was trying to attack us. She literally
Oh, I
gave it
think
my
it's-
sister.
Oh, I think it's very dark. You startled us. You're quite light on the feet, young sir, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes. May I ask, what are you doing here? Did you see my manservant come in?
We left, sir. He was here with another, and my sister. We live upstairs. But you can't tell no
goodness.
one because they'll take us to work.
But you've just called the local authorities, haven't you?
The
That's
runners,
quite a
yeah.
situation, isn't it?
Because there's a body. He's dead. Look. He starts crying because he's a little boy.
Oh dear. Let me just tend to my associate, and we shall see what we can do. And Reverend is going to go over to Anastasia and try and pry a bookcase off the young lady.
Okay. Okay.
She will weakly help.
I think let's have I think both give me a strength roll, and we'll see what the kind of the supported access is there. Because
can we not give one of us a bonus die or something?
no, that's what I was considering, and I think I would like to see both of you give a strength roll, and we'll see what that is.
That is a success for the Reverend.
Oh, wow.
43 versus 55.
Excellent.
Anastasia rolled a 4 out of 45 with an extreme success.
Oh my word!
Oh,
This is the most successful, dangerous situation I've ever seen anybody in. I'm just going to make a quick roll for the young boy. He's succeeded, but not just a normal success. So I'm going to say that I think it's fair to say, in terms of the roles, is that the good Reverend is kind of creating a bit of leverage to raise the bookcase, at which point, Anastasia, with your extreme success, you are able to just give it those few extra inches that's needed, and you're able to wriggle out. So it's not about lifting the bookcase back up out of the way, it's just getting Anastasia out. I'm going to say because the boy has succeeded, but not to any great success, you can see that he's not running away, but he's slowly starting to back away towards the main door.
Okay. Marvellous. Well, thank you very much, young sir. That's jolly good of you to help my compatriot there. No, you said there was my manservant here, and here with another gentleman whilst you were upstairs, hidden away?
Yes, sir. It was, if anybody comes here, we thought they were here for us, sir. So I took my sister and we got out of here. Because they'll separate us, you understand? Like, if they get us, they're going to put me and the boys, and they're going to put her with the girls.
Oh, right. Okay. But you did see the two. Were they talking about books? Because this is a bookshop, isn't it?
Yeah. They were, he, and he kind of points over at the body of Chambers. He was asking about, a book, and he was saying about, and you can see his tiny little brain is whirring away, and he's within panic, fear, but also this sense of reputation that you've rolled, this sense of you are an authority figure within this society, and he's been asked a question, and he knows better. There was something in the book. That's what he was after.
Right. Okay. And did they have the book with them, or were they talking about the book and it wasn't there?
No. It wasn't the book he was after. Sorry, sir. It was there was something in the book, like in it, not the words, sir.
Right. No, that's okay. And the book itself, was it in the gentleman's hands, or was it in my servant's hands, or wasn't it there at all?
No, sir, it wasn't here. Wasn't here at all.
So they were talking. And now, did they use any names like this gentleman's name who's passed away? His name is Chambers, and I'm wondering. And then he has a sudden thought: was the other man called Mr. Jenkins? And he glances a look at Anastasia.
I don't know, sir. Maybe. He was a big man. He looked bigger than him.
Gosh, bigger than me, because I'm quite tall, you know.
Probably about your height, sir.
Right. Okay. Goodness. And well, when did you run away then? Because I assume you didn't see the violence that has happened. This is quite the crime scene, you know.
Sir, we left this morning.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even know that they were still here. They'd come by last night.
Right.
And we just hid. But then when they came by this morning real early, like we went out to get some buy some food, to buy food. Yeah.
Yes. Now, was this other person you saw with Chambers here, was he dressed as a gentleman, or was he also a manservant or something?
He was, he looked smarter than him.
Right.
But not as smart as you, milady.
There we are. Now, did it look as though this person had a beard, or a top hat, or a cane, or something along those lines?
Don't know, sir. He had like a big coat wrapped around him, and
okay.
He had like a hat on. And
yes.
I don't know, sir. I don't know. Can I go, sir? Because I need to get to my sister. I really want to find my sister. I'm really sorry.
That's quite all right. I'm sure your sister's just outside, because I have some friends outside, and no doubt they will have seen her in distress and stepped out to help her.
Let's just pop outside for a second. Thomas, you're just drinking from your hip flask. You saw a distressed little girl run out of the building and, begin to run. Was there anything that you did?
Thomas looks around to the other companions in the carriage. Did you see that? What the devil do you think Uncle George is playing at? Sending children screaming.
What happened?
A child just ran out of the bookshop crying.
Oh, good heavens.
Did we hear the scream?
Did you have an extreme success with your listen roll? Oh, no, that was spot hidden, wasn't it?
Spot hidden, yes.
I guess it's a little retrospective thing. You're all welcome to, those in the carriage, give us a quick listen roll. You would need to get, because this was inside a building, you're outside the building and in a carriage, and there's not a huge amount of traffic, but there is traffic, human and carriage, on the street. So I think it would need to be an extreme success.
Oh, that's the 94 over 20, so I hear nothing.
I got a regular success of 19 versus 20.
Okay.
I managed a hard success, 16 under 55. Not extreme, though.
Okay, I would say, Mr. Burrows, that you may have heard the noise. You may have heard the kind of, not necessarily associated it with a scream, but you would have heard a loud pitched noise. But it's not something you would have gone, oh, scream.
My scream radar is on the fritz, clearly.
Indeed.
I didn't hear the crashing of the bookcase or anything.
No, unfortunately not. It's a rather large bookshop, and this is towards the back of the bookshop after the Reverend and Anastasia had navigated their way through a number of quite brilliant soundproofing old bookshelves full of rotten books.
No, sorry, not enough to pass comment on then, I suppose.
Okay, carry on with the conversation about flowers and the Prideaux family. Thomas, the little girl, runs past. Anything to do?
I think if the girl is running towards, I'll pull down the window, lean out and say, "Child, what seems to be distressing you?"
And she is tears, and she is beginning to kind of run. She's just about to start to run, and she just kind of stops and looks up to you. Sir, there's someone in there. They just killed someone.
Wait. Killed someone?
They just killed someone.
And this is very important. Who is dead?
There's a man in there, and another man was killing him.
Jesus Christ.
She crosses herself when you say that.
Burrows. Miss Lambert.
Yes?
I have a strange premonition that Uncle George might be in trouble. I think we should make our way to the bookshop post-haste, immediately.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go now.
Heavens, yes.
Excellent. The door opens and we dash out.
Okay, so we're inside. There's a young boy in there. The Reverend is standing there. The little girl kind of runs off into the distance. And what we have is the Reverend talking to a young boy in clearly a kind of authoritative manner. And tell me if I'm wrong there, please, Reverend. And we have Anastasia, who is standing. She looks a bit...
She's crying.
Crying. I think there's potentially even a bead of blood or two perhaps coming down the forehead after taking a bit of a bookshelf to the head on the way down, maybe a bit of a bruised arm. And you come in and you see this young boy facing off with Anastasia and the Reverend. And I believe Chambers is still hanging because we haven't released him.
We haven't chopped him down just yet.
So Chambers is still, and this is in the distance, so you can see the young boy. Then in front of the young boy who is facing the Reverend and Anastasia, you can see them. You can see a number of bookshelves or higgledy-piggledy. You wouldn't have known which were up and which were down. And then you can see the silhouette of another person in the background, but you can't quite see Chambers or the situation with Chambers.
Taking stock of the tableau inside the bookshop, Thomas is going to be suddenly taken aback. The girl said that he was dead. And, good God, sir, dear uncle... You're not dead.
What? What are you talking about?
The child, the small child, told me that you were dead.
A small child is hardly a reliable witness, Master Thomas. No, unfortunately, poor Chambers here has died.
Don't look, brother. Don't look.
Chambers?
Don't look
Chambers
at him.
is dead. What the devil's going on here?
Perhaps we can take it outside. We have a young boy here who is quite traumatized by this. Miss Lambert, this young gentleman has been very, very good, you see, and he is a little distressed. I wonder if you might be able to tell him one of your stories to relax the boy a little, because I'm sure this is isn't it, young sir? It's quite upsetting for you, isn't it? This is a very adult world, isn't it?
This is not the story about the hanging man, Charlotte. Not that one.
So,
Well, I'm sure there's a time and a place for stories, but Anastasia, are you all right? I'm sorry, George, but Anastasia's clearly not well. This is not a time for me to be telling stories to some child.
the young child is eyes wide, just like head whipping between you. Whoever speaks, it's like a mouth open, like knock to one, they're speaking, whip round to the other, they're speaking. And even though there's been this respectable class, essentially command of stand there and listen, boy, and the fact that, you know, it's a clergyman and there is a connotation with that in terms of this boy's cooperation, I think is fair to say, Reverend. The young boy is looking between you all, very scared. You can see that the young boy is on edge. And I think unless Charlotte or Mr. Burrows, have you gone with them, or are you still in the carriage?
No, I've definitely followed.
I'd just say, Mr. Burrows, if you are in there with Thomas and Charlotte, unless you have proceeded further in, you haven't really kind of been able to gauge the whole situation. All you're seeing is the Reverend and Anastasia and a young boy talking about Chambers being dead. Surely that can't be right.
I'm just staring in wide-eyed confusion, and I don't like kids very much. Well, Mr. Burrows doesn't like kids very much, and so he just sort of leans to Charlotte and quietly whispers, "I'm sorry, did they say this Mr. Chambers is dead?"
I don't know. Anastasia, darling, tell me what happened.
Chambers, Charlotte, it was terrible. Oh my god, I want to go home. I don't like this anymore. I thought we were gonna look at a book. Why?
And I think Charlotte kind of just gathers her in for a hug and just starts kind of wiping her tears and petting her hair and trying to calm her down a little bit. And just says, George, what's happening here? She's kind of almost mouthing it, not as to like distress Anastasia any further, just kind of, George, what's going on?
And turning slightly away from the boy, the Reverend will turn to Miss Lambert and say, "It would appear Chambers has been murdered and somebody is targeting our family. This young boy is a witness and we need to gather as much information as possible." Poor Anastasia pulled a bookcase over herself in the confusion. Perhaps we might be able to take the boy outside along with Anastasia, and so the gentleman can deal with this situation before the authorities arrive.
Charlotte is still none the wiser as to what on earth is going on here. This is not making any sense to her at all. Somebody targeting the family?
I'm going to make another roll
stuff.
for the boy. There's a significant amount happening. There's lots of going on between you, interpersonally between you.
Do I have my rifle?
Oh no.
If you, I think you have your cane. You said that you were coming in with your cane.
I have my cane. No. It's not time to shoot children just yet.
We'll quote you on that later. The young boy, he at this point, he just drops to the floor, sits down, hugs his little kind of bruised and dirty knees, and just kind of starts rocking a little bit. You see tears coming down from his eyes. He puts his head, his nose right down into the gap between his knees, and he essentially balls up and just closes down.
Good. Right. The Reverend will spot this. Can he see Mr. Apprentice standing in the doorway?
Absolutely. You are all more towards the doorway end of the I suppose the book depository than you are the, shall we say, the chambers end of the book depository. And because the candle was blown out, Charlotte, Thomas, and Mr. Burrows, well, they have yet to qualify any of these quite radical statements, I think, apart from the fact that Anastasia has thrown herself under a bookcase under some unusual stress and societal pressure.
She's normally very dexterous. I'm not sure how this happened, but here we are.
Use it when it counts.
So the Reverend would very much like to approach Mr. Apprentice and say, good sir, would you mind standing? And he'll actually maneuver him right in front of the boy. So he's blocking the boy's view of the body. And then he will just say, Master Thomas, with me. With the boy's view hopefully blocked, he will take the body of Mr. Chambers, and hopefully Thomas can find the rope that is holding up the servant, and we can lower him to the ground gently.
Thomas, could you make a sanity roll, please? You are seeing a upside down Chambers, face half burnt, and actually it takes you a second to look at him and really go, is this Chambers? But yes, unfortunately it is.
That is just a success, a 41 under 45.
Okay, you are still going to lose 1 point of sanity, I'm afraid, which I believe was the same for Anastasia. And you also see that there is this unusual symbol on a piece of paper that has been nailed into Isaac Chambers's face.
By all that's holy. What the devil's been going on here, Uncle? What's happened to Chambers?
No idea.
This is no. We must get him down. I concur. We must get him down.
To the rope.
Thomas climbs towards where the rope is. It's dark, but how easy is it to see the rope?
You are going to have to give me a spot hidden for that. It was the same for Anastasia, and I think it is a difficult thing to see in this circumstance.
That is a 74 over 50 for my spot hidden. But
it's not... Oh, please, go on.
But if I can't see where the rope attaches, I can see where the rope is attached to his feet.
Indeed.
If I were to find something sharp in a way to push the roll, could I find something sharp to cut the rope at the feet?
And you are welcome to push a roll whilst looking for something sharp. Indeed.
Oh, yes, please. Let's see what
I don't think we even need to suggest how this push could go wrong.
Well, that is a 22 under 50, and that's a hard success.
Okay, it's not long until you actually make your way over to the west wall, away from the hustle and bustle. You see over there that there's more of a workstation, and on the workstation you actually see a few of the things that you think belong to the children. There are some rags, there are some packets of food, some papers and things. There's a couple of mice that scurry off, who were probably feeding on the crumbs and things, but what you actually find is quite a large paper cutter. So it's more of a kind of an extended blade with a handle on the top that you could bring down on a number of sheets of paper to size them. But you can see this particular paper cutter is quite broken. So removing the handle with the blade, that is probably the size of Thomas's forearm, is not a difficult task. It's almost there for the taking.
Fantastic. In that case, I pick up the mice that are scuttling away and get the gnaw through the rope. I take the. I manage to. I take the paper cutter and pull the blade off, and make my way back over to Chambers and start cutting through the rope at the feet. Uncle, hold on to Chambers while I do this.
I've got him, Master Thomas.
Excellent. And short work of the rope?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a thick rope, but at the same, and it's well tied. But the cutter you've got is quite a treacherous blade, in reality, and it probably takes you, the best part of 6 or 7 kind of the length of the blade to really kind of cut through it. And if the Reverend is there holding Chambers, you're able to let his feet essentially drop to the ground, but I think quite respectfully holding his head and shoulders, lowering him there. Mr. Burrows, I'm gonna ask you to give me a no roll, an intelligence roll, please.
Oh, I'd love to. That is a 45 under 75.
Okay, well, 2 things happen. One, which jolts this spark of memory, let's say, this reminder, and that's that the young boy who you have been placed to stand in front of, there's a moment of unexplained fear and panic in the young boy. So what he does is almost remembering the scene and the fact that his sister is gone, and now he's panicking about her, and he just needs something, someone, somewhere. He reaches out and just absolutely latches onto your leg. He just hugs your leg and squeezes it incredibly tightly. And he's just crying. Please, don't let anything happen to me, sir. Please.
There, young man. You've got to picture kind of like a scarecrow, like in an animated film. That kind of movement, just arms out to the side, and then one carefully and gingerly brought down to pat as gently as possible on the tousled curls. There.
That brings a sense of comfort. There is an even tighter kind of grip on the leg now. You're filling a void for this child who needs some comfort in whatever form he can take it right now. But the child grabbing onto your leg for reassurance is what reminds you, quite suddenly, you need to be somewhere else.
Oh, heavens. Do I get any more information than that, Keeper, or is that just based on my backstory?
Yeah, no, of course you do. You need to be in Kingscombe. You left the Prideaux Manor early this morning with 2 stop-offs on your way to do a 2-day journey to Kingscombe. There is a significant event happening, and you brought those papers. You have been charged by Mr. D. Aldworth Esquire himself to get the Prideaux family to where they need to be.
Oh, heavens. Oh, we're going to be late. Oh, what will Mr. Aldworth say? Young man, please desist. Excuse me? I think we need to be going. He's just sort of staggering around in a semicircle, trying to get the attention of people busy hauling bodies around.
Does anybody react?
The Reverend will look over once and then look back.
How much light is there in here, by the way? How much can we actually see of what's going on?
Towards the door where Mr. Burrows is, you can probably see a bit more because there is light, the little bit of light from the outside street, and there are bits of the building that have kind of broken down. There's a bit more there. You can probably just see, Charlotte, where you are, unless you actively go up to where the Reverend and Thomas is with Chambers' body. You can probably just see a little bit of silhouettes moving behind some bookcases. You probably have an understanding of what's going on back there.
Charlotte is mildly amused by what's happening with Burrows and the urchin, but I think she's going to try and open some windows open some curtains if there are any, or if not, I think she's going to maybe look for some candles or something else that can help them all see what they're doing a bit better.
Okay, you're very welcome.
There's a candle by his head.
Beautiful.
Just the one.
You're very good. You're very welcome to give me a spot hidden roll as you tell us what it is that you're doing.
Oh, that was a woeful failure of 84 versus 35. She's blundering around in the dark, sadly.
Afraid not. There's one candle that you find, but unfortunately, as you're walking around and the body's been moved, you actually step on it and snap it. There's nothing that you find. You're just kind of wandering around in the dark at this point. So,
I think Anastasia will actually snap out a little bit of what the anxious crying state she's been in, and swap onto anger at Mr. Burrows for even suggesting that we have paperwork to do while there's a dead man here. Just going to give him a sharp look and say, Mr. Burrows, someone has died. How dare you? How dare you say that we have to go somewhere to do what? Paperwork? Are you so uncaring?
I do beg your pardon. It's only, Mr. Aldworth, you see. It's all arranged, and I was charged with bringing you to... He doesn't know, you see, and words about the it's frightfully important.
More important than a man's life?
On that note, when you say the words more important than a man's life, a figure turns up in the doorway. And they are holding what appears to be a small wooden bat. It's quite a, it's quite a significant-looking thing. It's not the length of a golf club or a baseball bat, but it looks like it's could knock a few heads. And this individual steps in. Oi, what's going on here? Who are you lot? What are you doing here?
Who would be the best person to greet the gentleman? Thomas, the Lord of the Manor? Or the Reverend?
It's a bit of a toss-up, isn't it?
Who has his hands more full of corpse at the moment, I guess? Probably not that person.
Luckily, this person who's just come in...
The Reverend has hands full of corpse, and...
They can't see. Apologies. They can't see right to the back at the moment, so if you are a handful of corpse, you hear this person coming in.
Well, hopefully he's on the ground by now.
You have time to drop it, yeah.
Thomas currently has hands full of large blade, so...
The individual comes in, Burrows is there, Anastasia's there, Charlotte Lambert is there, Thomas is holding the blade, and Reverend is dropping the body. This is back a few bookcases, so this can't be seen by the individual, but they come in to see you three and the child. What's going on?
So sorry, we're closed.
What? What? He kind of looks around for a second.
There's been a terrible crime.
A
man has died, and we found him, and it's terrible.
Right, who did it?
You have to do something. We just found him here.
Was it him? And he points at you, Burrows.
No, whoever did it is not here.
What?
Do you see this man? Does he look like a killer to you?
I had the child.
Oh, yeah. Oh, little boy. He's just crying. The boy's just crying.
The boy didn't do it either.
Oh, the girl said that there was someone here who just killed someone.
No.
Hello?
The Officer,
dead person
you're in as
here.
much at the dark as we are here.
It's pretty dark in here.
Light?
Literally as well as figuratively, yes.
Who said, oh, yeah, you are, yeah. Right, stand back then, stand back. And he kind of begins, like, stepping into the dark, like, one step at a time. And he's holding out this baton kind of thing, just going...
Do we see this gentleman approaching?
Probably, because you're looking back now to the entrance of the bookshop, which is where there is some light. So I think it's fair to give you the opportunity to see that there is an individual creeping in, holding a bat. And
Watch out for the bookcases, they're quite unstable.
all right. Yeah. You kind of see stepping and hang on. Who's
I
there?
wonder whether it's time for Thomas to pull rank here.
Hello.
Do it.
Hello.
Thomas drops the blade to a little clatter. And steps
The
forward.
body goes down.
Steps forward out of the bookcase in front of the gentleman. Well, it took you long enough to get here, sir. I was hoping that you'd be able to make your presence at this vicinity in this crime sooner. Some of us don't have time to wait on you. Do you know who I am?
Reputation roll.
Thank you.
And we'll find out if he knows who you are.
Oh, that's a 74 over 65. Can I...
It is a little dark in here.
I don't think he knows who you are.
Can I push my reputation roll?
Oh,
Again, let's see what we can do here.
Is it like luck?
No.
Forgive me, does Thomas have a bonus die on that reputation roll?
No.
Because it's been an extra good boy.
Because
No.
I have a high reputation.
And it is a social skill.
It is
It
indeed.
is a
Yes,
social
you
skill.
do. Yes,
okay,
you do.
well, in that case, I won't push
Well
it.
done, team. Well remembered.
So I didn't get one for the boy, but like I
That's
say, I might
another
get one
70.
here.
That's another
Sorry, and
74.
apologies for that. Please do remind me of these new fantastic rules that I am still learning. Absolutely superb. Yeah, of course you do, because of your reputation, and Reverend and Thomas, you have the same reputational score. So apologies, Reverend. You did a bloody good job anyway. So have the confidence rather than the dice.
Unfortunately, so that was another 70, so that's a second 74 over 65.
Dear. As you stand up and loudly prostrate yourself, saying, "Don't you know who I am? I'm the bloody blah 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 blah." He's going to swing at you.
Oh, we go
Because
straight for violence.
You're in a dark room and a shadow has jumped up, going ba 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 ba, and he's been told that someone is in here and they have murdered someone. He is going to swing at you. So let's see what happens. Luckily for you, this is someone who's not very capable in the dark by the looks of it, and they've rolled an 88 over a 42. So what they're going to do is basically swing at you, but because it's dark, they just miss and they slam into the bookshelf that's very close to you. And the dust kind of erupts and the sound shocks everybody. But this person has just swung a bat and landed it next to you, Thomas.
This is likely to rile Thomas up a little. He's already had probably a fair amount to drink today already.
Good morning.
And he's in the zone that I am better than you zone. Do you know who I am? And this common person, this person has dared to swing at a member of the gentry. This is most unacceptable. And I think as the club hits the bookcase and he's prostrated, I'm going to knee him in the stomach.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
It is on.
And that is a 30 over 25 on my fighting roll.
Okay.
Let me know when the Reverend can step in to try and rectify the
I
situation.
think, Reverend, I'm going to ask Thomas to just let me know how that fails, and then, Reverend, you are very welcome to join in. Remember, Thomas, that there is a fallen bookcase that you're essentially standing next to, creating a hazard. There's a bookcase next to you. He's standing just having swung and hit a bookcase. Please tell me. I think I'd like to hear from you, Thomas, how you failed to knee someone in the stomach.
Well, I feel that Thomas probably did manage to make contact, but a combination of the dark, the position, and the fact that Thomas's strength is not great, it just didn't hit particularly well. I imagine the watchman was probably a little higher up than Thomas would like, so almost the knee had to come up to about chest height, his own chest height to hit. So there's a slight tap. So the intent was there, and the impact may have been felt slightly, but not very effectively, which is probably not good for Thomas.
So the Reverend's going to act now, but I'm going to say that Charlotte, Anastasia, and Mr. Christopher Burrows, you are all witnessing these silhouettes of Thomas and this Bow Street runner essentially miss each other in this conflict, but you're not quite sure what's happening. Reverend.
The Reverend would like to step forward calmly but firmly. So, gentlemen, please control yourselves. A crime has been committed here, and this is no way to act bare of you.
There's a moment where the runner kind of takes half a step back, bat still out, looks in the darkness between the two of you. Thomas, anything you do? Charlotte, Anastasia, Mr. Burrows?
Thomas is aware of the Reverend's calming voice, but I still think there's a little bit of red in front of the eyes, and I think it's a sort of, yes, person, you should step away from me, for I am Thomas Prideaux. Now you know who I am. And with a flick of the hair and a turn, stalks back to where Uncle George is.
I think even without a role at this point, with the Reverend speaking and then Thomas speaking again, there is a situational recognition, not necessarily a role for reassurance or intimidation, or, I mean, we can roll those things if you'd like to, depending on the effects, but I think the runner here recognizes the situation. Whether you've committed a murder or not, he is immediately recognizing there are people in this room that are way above his station. And there's a step or two back. And then you hear a kind of a hard swallow, a bit of a dry mouth, and then he kind of turns and just shouts, Graham's, bring the lamps in. Graham's. And then there's this other individual, Mr. Burrows, that kind of passes past you and kind of brings a lamp in, puts it on the floor by the boy. Another lamp comes in, it kind of goes on the shelf by you, Thomas and Reverend, and then you hear a bit of a whelp as this Graham's clearly sees the body that is Chambers and puts a lamp down next to it. Could everybody give me I think it's going to have to be spot hidden. Can everybody give me a spot hidden, please?
The Reverend's eyes is firmly fixed on the new person that has joined the room, and that was a 70 versus 31 failure.
Ooh. Thomas?
96 over 50, which is a regular failure.
Oh, Charlotte.
I've only failed by 2. I've got 37 against 35, so I might spend a couple of points of luck if nobody else has passed it.
Okay, Anastasia.
That's an 84 over 45, so definite failure here.
Wow, and Mr. Burrows.
When the violence kicked off, Mr. Burrows clapped his hands over the boy's eyes, and upon the revelation of the body, he squeezes his own eyes shut, resulting in a failure, 62 over 40.
Charlotte, would you like to use those luck points?
Okay, I will spend that luck then.
They're not very useful.
Yes, I definitely will. Well, it's only 2, so I think it's worth it.
Then, as everybody is looking at these runners, these essentially figures of authority, these rudimentary policemen, dare I say the word, you see the lamps going down, and you look at one lamp, to the next, to the next. It's not the lamp that draws your attention, Charlotte. You see the symbol, the circle, with inside the waves at the bottom, the mast leading up, branching out, umbrellaing out, with 2 circles either side, and then a singular circle above, all within that greater circle. And now that the lamps are in the room, it's the symbol you see carved into the bookcases, the floor, the walls, The banisters, the ceilings, every square inch of available half-rotted wood that can act as a page for this symbol has been used to carve its meaning. Miss Lambert, would you give me a power roll, please? And I'm going to need a good roll on this.
Oh no, that was a 79 against 55. Miserable failure.
Ms. Lambert.
And this is also the first time she's seen Chambers' body as well. So
Can I have a sanity roll?
Not doing well.
To go with this power roll, please.
Absolutely. That was a 20, so I've passed that.
So you see Chambers, and the rush of Chambers is dying, and then you actually become quite close with him over your kind of unofficial appointment in running the household. But seeing him now isn't the thing that overwhelms you. It is this symbol carved everywhere. There is a pain that jars into your mind, almost as if someone has put a hot poker directly through your forehead into your brain, in the center of your mind, and you scream and you drop to the floor. Thank you for joining us for Cult and Culpability. Remember to visit us at www.miskatonicplayhouse.com. You can also visit the main stage at the Miskatonic Playhouse for other scenarios from the Miskatonic repository with links in the show notes below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and if you can leave a review, it makes a huge difference for other listeners to be able to find us and also enjoy our work. Until next time, when the curtain rises again.